Let's see how many channel surfers we got out there today. They're gonna surf my way. Yeah. What's happening, y'all? Yeah. So I'm going the short way home today. I got to stop by the good old Costco and get some fuel, some goat juice. We got a war going over there, and a war going on over there in the Middle East. I imagine the gas is going to get expensive here the next few days somewhere. Go get me some fuel. What's up, viewer? What's happening? Nothing. Okay, well that's good. I wonder if it's the same person that does that every day. They just, stop to check, see who the hell I am, and then they take off and go somewhere else. What's up, viewer? Yep, overtime Saturday. Gotta like that extra money. I don't like getting up at, 4:45 on a Saturday. But I only work till 10 o'clock on Saturday. Sometimes I work till 12. It just depends on my mood or what other people want to work. Some of them like to work till noon. But we have worked, like a full 8 hours, 2:30 on a Saturday before. I just don't like to do that. I had a football game to go to tonight, so I got to go home and get myself prepped and ready to go for that. What the hell we got going on here? Somebody dropped some furniture in the road over there. That dumbass. Anyway, it's kind of a cloudy, overcast day, but it's nice out. There's no humidity whatsoever. And it's pretty nice today. I like the days like this. I like it to be sunny, but sunny and cool. I mean, not cold like, wintertime sunny, but, early fall. Of course, we're just now in the summer months, so I'm going to enjoy this coolness while I can. Yep. So I got one viewer hanging in there with me today. What's up, viewer? Are you shy? You want to tell me who you are? 2 viewers. How about that? Man, I'm on a roll now. You guys want to do me a favor and hit the screen twice? Give me a like or 2. That'd be nice. Yep. Another day, another dollar, right? Actually, Uncle Sam eats me up pretty good on my overtime. Because the government's got to get theirs. But it's better than my regular 40 hours a week. I think I pulled let's see, I worked 9 hours a day for 5 days, so that's 45 hours. So I got 5 hours overtime there. Then I worked 4 hours today, so that's another 4 hours, 45, and 4 is 49. So I got 49 hours this week. So 9 hours overtime at the rate that I make in overtime, that's a few $100s extra that'll be on my check this week, thank God. Well, this week coming up. Of course, I won't get to enjoy it because, I won't get to see it basically until Thursday. But I'll have a good idea, or at least a good feeling that it's coming anyway. And you guys have those VR machines, those virtual reality, go to VR chat type deal things. So I was on there last night with somebody that I met over on Horizon Worlds. You guys hear that truck next to me there? Big truck. Yeah. He's jacked up. Well, he's got a big lift kit on that thing. I'll turn around and show you real quick. Yep. Yeah, he's lifted all right. Anyway, I was on VR chat last night, which is a virtual reality world. went to a place called the Sunset Bar, and I was standing there with this lady that I met over on Horizon Worlds. Her and a group of people. I used to hang out with a group of people over there, but she wanted to come over to VR Chat and check it out. And I said, "Well, come on over, and I'll take you some places and show you and let you meet some really cool people." So she comes over there, and we're playing this one game. It's like a spin to see what you like. It's a drinking game. So you spin this spinner on the table, and wherever it stops, that's what you have to do. And of course, I don't drink, so I was drinking soda. But anyway, so I said, well, let's go, venture around a little bit, and I'll show you a couple other cool places. So we went to this place called the Sunset Bar. Now, Sunset Bar have these, they serve, well, it's pretend, of course, but they serve drinks there. And when you drink these drinks or whatever, they give you like a euphoric, like visual, where the room, you like see in double vision, and then you get that kind of weird reverb sound, like everything's off in the distance, almost as if you're really drunk. You know what I mean? It's like a simulation. So I told her, I said, when we get over there, we'll go see if there's a barkeep. And so we didn't see a barkeep there, so we were standing over by the bar just talking about the graphics and stuff on that world, and how much better the graphics on VR Chat are as compared to Horizon Worlds. And so this guy comes up, and he's like, I don't remember this character's name, but there was two of them, and they started talking trash about my friend and said that they were going to take her off and do the R word to her. And I was like, dude, that is not appropriate. I mean, it's like, what the fuck, really? Here infecting people, and what the fuck is wrong? What's wrong with people today? They just don't have any respect for, you know what I mean? It's I understand it's virtual reality, and I understand it's pretend and all that, but those aren't things you pretend about. You know what I mean? So we ended up leaving the bar. I didn't get to show her, the drinks or anything. So hopefully we can get together in the future, and I can take her and show her a couple other places that I know about. But I just thought it was kind of, sickening for, that there's people out there with that kind of mentality. Now, it's obvious to me that, being a Friday night, people are probably, drinking and getting on their VR machines, and then they just, it's like all their stupidest fantasies come true, or all the things they want to say. I often wonder if people on the VR Chat and places like that, if they just don't have a life, don't have any social skills, don't have any friends. I mean, what is it really that keeps? I know why I go there. I go there because it's kind of an escape from reality, but I don't go there looking for mischief. You know what I mean? So these people, obviously, the ones, especially the ones like last night, I mean, because that dude walked up to a girl in a bar and said that shit in a real bar. One of two things is going to happen. Either he's going to get his face slapped by the girl, or some guy's going to hear it and be the girl's boy, and he's going to beat the dog shit out of him. One of the two. Hi, Pooja. How you doing today? I'm good. Did you get my Facebook request? I sent you a request. I hope it was you anyway, because I'm going to be stopping here to fill up my gas tank here in just a minute. So my camera's going to be idle. How can you see my profile on Facebook? Well, I saw a Pooja Garg just like you, and I sent a friend request. I don't know if you got it or not, or whatever, but I did. And I can't really, like, share a link with you or anything, because I can't do that from here. But anyway, so it really upsets me, that like people like me go to places like that to, kind of get away. And I like, the graphics, and I like seeing like all the different avatars and stuff. But then you get those assholes. Okay, you'll check. All right. So then you get those assholes that just got nothing else better to do than be shit disturbers or whatever whatever their plan is, and it kind of ruins it for everybody else. And last night my friend was on. This was the first time she had ever been on VR chat, and it was because she had heard so many bad things about. Well, I don't want to get into that, but there are things there that kind of turn people off. Other than, I mean, as far as the avatars go in some of the worlds, not so much the people like we encountered last night, but I mean it happens. I have people that talk shit to me all the time. The biggest thing is that people want to know, why is it that somebody my age is on VR chat? Okay, well, let me explain something to them, to you and to them. Is that I started out using computers when the Commodore VIC-20 was around. Now, if any of you buddy knows what the Commodore VIC-20 is, it was a computer keyboard that had programming in it. You put it on your TV and you play games and you type shit. Commodore VIC-20. And then came along the Atari. So as time developed and technology advanced, they started having all these other games. There was Sega Genesis, then there was Nintendo, Nintendo 64, just a whole boatload of them. PlayStation 2, 3. What are we on, like PlayStation 50 now? So anyway, the graphics and everything have gotten better over time, and this VR thing puts you right in the action. It makes you a part of the game, which is really cool. And now I don't spend a lot of time. Well, I do. If I get on there, I like to spend enough time on there that I can do what I need to do. So I'm usually on 3 or 4 hours at least. And then other times I'm not on so much, maybe an hour or so. But it really upsets me that people go there and they want to ruin other people's good time. You guys are wondering, I'm getting ready to get out here in just a second. I got to get some gas, so I'm going to pump my gas. Well, price of gas is still $2.54 a gallon. Well, that's pretty good. All right, so you guys give me a few minutes and hang out, talk amongst yourselves, whatever. I'm gonna go get some gas. I'll be right back. Yeah, I'm still here. I'm getting gas, so you guys just hang out for a minute. I'll be right back. Don't go away. All right, there we go. All right, I'm back, y'all. I had to stop and get some gas. I got $36, gave me 14 gallons. That's not bad, I don't guess, considering. But I imagine the gas prices are going to climb here sometime in the next couple of weeks because of all that bullshit going on over there in the Middle East. You know, people can't just get along. They can't follow the rules or the laws. They want to act like a bunch of fucking heathens. You know, everybody wants power. Money and power. That's what it's all about. It has nothing to do with peaceful exchange of ideas or any of that stuff. But I'm not going to get political because that's just a waste of time. You know, people can talk about politics and debate all day long, but nothing's going to change. You know, I think it's a shame, but so be it. As long as they don't interfere with my life, I'm good. They can do whatever they want over there in Camel Land or wherever, over there in the Middle East, the land of sands, stuff like that. Anyway, so if I were you guys, especially over there in Europe, you better go get you some petrol because I got a feeling the prices are getting ready to go up. Hopefully we've established or, you know, replenished our fuel reserves here in the U.S. Because you know, Trump was saying, you know, better drill baby drill for the first day, and the gas prices were going to go down, but they haven't gone down. I'm not exactly what you would call a follower of either the right or the left. I think the government's just as corrupt on one side as it is on the other. However, I do think this past election we got the lesser of two evils. That's just me. But like I said, I'm not going to get into that because it causes too many problems when you talk about politics and religion. You know, you can go to anybody else's page or channel, and I flip through channels all day long. A lot of times, like when I get home from work, I'll sit in my chair and I'll flip through the channels on the YouTube, and it's like every other channel has something to do with politics. People are talking about politics, or there's some kind of live feed, you know, the government's together, or you got a bunch of idiots protesting, peacefully protesting, you know, while cars and buildings burn behind them. You know, that's real peaceful, right? You know, as far as I'm concerned, you know, I understand, you know, the First Amendment, and I understand what it's about and all that good stuff, but, you know, voicing your opinion and freedom of expression and all that bullshit, that's fine. But once you go to burning buildings and destroying cars and attacking people and, you know, looting stores and whatever, you know, getting in people's faces and whatever else it is that they do, that's where your amendment should stop. Exactly. You know, right then and there, your First Amendment should no longer be valid. If you're going to do that bullshit, you know, people can protest and not get violent, you know. They should be able to, but unfortunate enough for us, there's people out there that, you know, pay the riffraff. You know, riffraff's at home in mama's basement, and they need to pay the riffraff to go out and destroy things. The lot of times that, you know, it's not even people from the area that, you know, the protests are happening. They ship these people all over the country, you know, to do this stupid shit. They don't have anything to do with that community, but yet they're going to go tear it up anyway. Why? What does that solve, really? You know, makes absolutely no sense. Okay, I've said enough about that. I could go on all day long, you know, with my opinion on things like that, and I'd probably piss some people off. You know what? I really don't care, because this is my channel, and, you know, my First Amendment is expressed here. So that's all I got to say about that. But anyway, so later on today, going to a football game. It's the UFL, and for you, those of you who are unfamiliar with Spring League football, you know, back in 2001 we had the XFL. It was a one and done season. That was a Vince McMahon thing from the WWE, WWF. Well, at that time it was WWF. So it was a one and done season. So they waited, you know, 19 years before they brought it back. And in 2020, you had the XFL, again owned by Vince McMahon. Well, if you remember, back in 2020, about halfway through the seasons when the big bad virus came along, so they stopped playing football. And they canceled the rest of the season, refunded everybody their money that they'd invested in tickets. And Vince McMahon lost his ass. So, in 2022, or 23, is it 23, 24? Yeah, in 23, they came back as the XFL. Did one season, Dwayne the Rock Johnson, and I always get the Garcia lady, whatever her name is, Lillian or Julian, or I don't remember her name, but anyway, her last name's Garcia. So they got it together and they decided, well, we're gonna, you know, bring football back to the people again in the spring. So we'll bring back the XFL. Well, it wasn't real lucrative because people just weren't accustomed to seeing, you know, Spring League football. You know, after the Super Bowl, everybody thinks the football's over. Well, it's not. You had the USFL, then there was one called the SPL, which was the Spring Professional League or something like that. It was a Spring League football, and then you had the XFL. And even more recently, believe it or not, they're playing American football over in Europe. It's the European Elite Football or something like that. I've watched a couple of the games from over there. And I think what it is a lot of the guys that play over there were, you know, semi-pro or not good enough to make the, you know, the NFL or some of these other teams, so they all went over to Europe to play. You know, they do the same thing with basketball and hockey and rugby and soccer. You know, when people don't make it big in the U.S., they send them over to Europe. But anyway, so in 2023, at the end of the season, I'm guessing that Dwayne the Rock Johnson and that Garcia woman, they lost their ass on the money. And so what they did is they took the USFL, which was the United States Football League, and the XFL, and they combined them. So now they're called the UFL, which is the Unified Football League. And so they took, let me see if I can get this right. They took 5 teams from the XFL and 3 teams from the USFL. They took one of the teams from the XFL, moved it over to the USFL for the USFL division. Then they had 4 teams on the XFL division. Now, if you ask me which teams were which, I can tell you, but I'm too tired to think about it right now. Just know that there's 8 teams altogether. Now, they have talked about expanding. And basically, this is the second year that this championship football game has been here in St. Louis. Basically because St. Louis has had the best attendance. You know, we average like 28,000 people a game or something like that. And so people, you know, they come here for games from other places. And then, of course, you know, you got your Battlehawks, which is the St. Louis team, the fan bases here, and we support not only our team, but we support the other teams as well. If they're not in the championship game, the Battlehawks, I mean, if they're not in the championship game, then we support the other teams. So it works out kind of good, but it's just that it seems like the St. Louis people are the ones that are actually keeping this league, afloat. Because the attendance in other places is piss poor and sorry anyway. And there's actually talk of expansion. They're talking about eliminate like 3 of the teams in the XFL division and moving them other places. I think they talked about what was it? New York. They talked about Colorado, I think, and a couple of Seattle, a couple other places. But that's kind of still just in the talks. But I think it would be good for the team the league to expand. It would probably be more lucrative, because I remember back, when I was a kid, like some of the biggest names in football, came from the USFL. There was Doug Flutie, there was Reggie White, and some of the bigger names, they played for the farm teams in the USFL. And then when they're in AFL too, there was an AFL years and years ago, the American Football League. But I think that was part of the deal with the NFL. The AFL, drafted into or combined or merged with the NFL, National Football League. So that's kind of the history, short history. If you don't know anything about it, now you kind of do. I'm not 100% sure on my facts. I could be wrong, but I go on what I see. Anyway, so that's today. So I imagine the crowd's going to be pretty good. But I don't know. I don't know how many people are actually coming from out of town to watch the game, because you got a team from Michigan, which is the Michigan Panthers, and they didn't have a really big following. Now the DC Defenders, which are the Washington team, the other team that's in, they had a good following. Their stadium, did really well. It didn't do as good as St. Louis, but people were showing up for the games, and so they got a lot of fan base in Washington, and it may just be that some of those people come down here for this game. So we'll see. But anyway, I think they're playing on like NBC or something, or maybe ESPN. I don't remember what the channel was that they were going to play on. But anyway, if you turn on your TV, you might just see me, because I'm going to be in the end zone, for front row in the end zone, off to the right just a tad for the game, kind of in the corner. But I'll be front row anyway, so I'll probably end up on TV. And if I'm not on TV, I'll end up on the Jumbotron, I'm sure, or at least I hope. I'm going to wear my Battlehawks gear tonight. I'm going to wear my Battlehawks gear tonight and stuff like that, so that ought to be really cool. Taking my mom, get her out of the house. My dad passed away 2 weeks ago today, and so my mom is still pretty upset. Of course, that's to be expected. You lose a loved one after 43 years, somebody you've always been by your side and things like that. Now you got nothing or no one. I mean, she's got those kids, but it's not the same. So we're going to get mom out of the house and take her to the football game, and hopefully she'll have some time of levity to get away from it all. And then I have a buddy whose wife is going. So the original plan was for my buddy and me and his wife to go. So I bought 2 tickets, and then, well, actually I bought 3 tickets, and my mom was one of the tickets that I bought for. But you know, my dad came home on hospice, and I was kind of afraid that, you know, if he was still, if he made it to the day of the football game, which is today, that that mom wouldn't go. I don't know if she would have. She's, you know, she loves with her whole heart. So I don't know if she would have left him alone there at the house or not. But anyway, so he didn't make it anyway. And but if he had made it, you know, to the football game, then my buddy and his wife are going to go and accompany me. But since now my mom is going, his wife is just going, and that's it. But you know, I wouldn't be surprised if he buys like a nosebleed seat or something to be there for this game, because he loves football almost as much as I do. But he's a Dallas Cowboys fan. I don't like to say that too loud because I hate the Dallas Cowboys. Actually, I don't even watch the NFL anymore. The NFL's an afterthought to me anymore. I don't. It's too political. They let the politics get into the football. And you know, what was that guy's name? Colin Kaepernick or whatever his name is. You know, when he fucking kneeled for the flag, and then they didn't do anything about it, and then you started having players kneeling for the flag. That's disrespectful to our country, to the guys and women in uniform that, you know, fight for our country to keep our freedoms and, you know, uphold our Constitution. And you know, these fucking idiots go out there. Why are they making millions of dollars a year? Is what I want to know. You know. I wish I made millions of dollars a year. I guess I went in the wrong line of work. I guess I should have been an athlete. Actually, I was an athlete in school, but I had to quit playing sports because I just wasn't a good student. And you know, a lot of your coaches and things like that, if you don't stay academically on top of things, then they don't want you on their team. So I wasn't a good student. I liked to skip school, and I liked to party, and I liked to have fun, and they just didn't see that. They didn't see a place for me to fit in, so I quit playing sports altogether. Anyway, it's going to be fun tonight for sure, I think. Unless the riffraff is going to, you know, hang out at the stadium and cause a bunch of ruckus. Because they're supposed to be having some peaceful protesting in St. Louis this evening. It's supposed to be over at 5, but, you know, there's no telling. I mean, you know, the whole thing in LA, the LA riots, they want to call it peaceful protesting, but that's not what it is. It's riots. You know, when you get cars destroyed and, you know, people defacing buildings and attacking police and, you know, throwing rocks and bottles and bricks and anything else, it's no longer a peaceful protest. It's a bunch of people out there acting like a bunch of fucking children that aren't happy with the way things are going, and they've been so fucking abused by the media and lied to and manipulated by the media that they fall for this shit. I don't get it, you know. But, you know, I guess that's, if you believe that way, that's up to you. But I don't personally believe that way. Where's all my crowd at? Man, I got 4 people watching. I got 2 likes. That's a positive. I bet you Pooja is one of the ones that liked it. I wonder who else liked it. But I got 4 viewers right now, so you guys must be interested in something I have to say. Keeping your, I don't know, people have a short attention span. Maybe that's where everybody else went. Because I'm only usually on here about 30 minutes every time I do a video. Of course, I say that almost every time I do a video too, so, yeah. Oh boy. Anyway. All right, black Toyota truck, you gonna stop? Stop. Stop. There you go. I got the right of way. Sorry, guys. Anyway, so I'm almost home. I don't know if my mom made it on yet either. My mom was on yesterday watching me. That was the first time she's ever seen a live video that I do. And she was like, oh, we ought to do that going to the football game today. So I might be back a little later. I might do a video on the way to the football game. And I'll have 2 other people here with me that might be participating, you know, in my video. But I'm definitely going to shoot some video tonight. Tonight. I'll shoot some video of like the pregame warm-ups. I'll shoot video of like the crowd. Well, I don't know how much of a crowd there's going to be outside the stadium, especially on the entrance that I go in, because it's always kind of quiet on that side. But what I may do is I might walk around and shoot some video. Maybe once the game starts, or like during a halftime or something. Maybe I'll do that. I don't really know yet, but anyway, all right, folks. Well, I'm home. It's been nice speaking with everybody. You guys have a beautiful day, and we'll talk to you again later. All right, pieces. Take it easy. Later.